Right. Welcome everyone. We are back with another podcast, and today's podcast is gonna. Today's podcast is not really wasn't planned to happen, especially today, and wasn't planned to happen about this topic. But because we are late with one of our videos, which is actually on the dimensions of the universe, we decided to create a podcast on it, and later on next week probably launch the video about the dimensions of the universe. But in order to still have content and still have it this week as well, we decided to talk about this topic a little bit, which is gonna be, I think, a bit more philosophical, and of course, sciencey as well. And as usual, Patrick is with me.
Welcome back, everyone. So yeah, today's podcast was not planned, as Ron said, but we will try to cover every single detail about our thoughts about the universe. And actually, we won't try to cover what's in the video, like what is included, but we will try to actually give you guys a little bit of fact and give you facts about the video. So yeah, some funny stuff and some crazy as well. So yeah.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so I think we can just straight up start. I just want to start with a little bit of warm up question. Have you ever wondered about how small you are in this universe? Like, if you just think about it, even how small you are compared to the whole Earth and stuff like that. So, have you ever wondered about this?
Yeah, of course. Like a lot of times when I have to face my problems and my priorities and things like that. When it comes down to tough times, I usually just think about my problems. Is I try to put this on a scale, and this scale is according to those things that are just really huge in the universe, and I try to compare my problems to these things. So, and eventually, it really helps me to solve these problems and to get over them easily, because you just need to have another point of view, in these situations, that you and your problems are just not like that huge. So you just need to concentrate on your problems as minorities, and you shouldn't just give big sense to these problems, consider them as the end of the world, end of your life, and then you eventually actually can come over them. So it's easy. It's easier, actually. It's easier to reconsider your problems using this exercise, maybe, that I should say, that just to think about how small you are compared to other things in the universe, and then you will have it eventually. So yeah, this is where it really helps me. This is when I usually just think about these things, like how small are we actually compared to the universe and other stuff in life as well. So yeah, what about you?
Yeah. So my situation is a little bit different. Because I'm really into astronomy and physics. And so whenever I think about this stuff, or I even research this stuff, then I see it as a possibility to learn more about this topic, and understand more about how our universe work. Because if we wanna understand anything from our universe, we have to start at the basics. And actually, I believe that the dimensions of the universe is indeed basis of it all. Um, so yeah, this is when I usually think about it as like imagine that, wow, this is amazing, and then I start to research it, and still think about it as how amazing it is, but I also try to get it as a way of learning, um, because of my interest towards astronomy and stuff like that. So yeah, of course, what you've been just explaining is, I think, a really, really common situation, by the way, because I believe I believe this a lot of people either have this as a problem, like what you were explaining with that, how small are we, or either process it your way as like uh as like getting your problems into smaller view, into a less
Like put this on another scale.
yeah,
So
put it in another perspective, actually.
yeah.
Yeah, and so both of them are very understandable. So I've heard so many times from people how this situation with the size of the universe just freaks them out, like literally freaks them out, because of like existential crisis and stuff like that. As this is something that easily can question your whole existence. I mean, when you try to measure such sizes, and then you think about it, that like, what the fuck, even my city seems to be enormous to me, and now we're talking about a whole universe. uh oh yeah, whenever I wonder about it, I as I said, either try to learn, or also try to um have this different perspective, just like you do.
Yeah, I can agree with that 100%. Yeah, it's interesting because, like that you've mentioned, that this existential crisis and things like that. So it's really interesting that why are we here? So like we shouldn't be here compared to like these huge things, and compared to aliens and all those like other like living creatures out there who we unfortunately don't know about yet, or we do actually. So it's like it's a like a really like decisive question whether we know whether there's are like aliens out there or not. So it's an interesting topic as well. I believe we definitely will have a video about it. So
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, because like as for myself, I'm really interested in this, whether there's like an outer life, like not considering our planet. And I believe there's life out there, and this is why I usually question like our existence, like as a humanity, as humans, as people on Earth, who just like here to be born, then grow up, go to school, go to like work for 35, 40, 45 years, then then they retire and then they die. So what's the point? What's the meaning of that? What why 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 this is the only thing on Earth? Why we are the only creatures who are aware of their existence, but we actually don't have an answer for our existence, and why are we the only ones who know something? We know something, but we actually don't know the right answer for that. So this is when you're aware of something, but you actually can't answer that thing, because it's like, and then then this is when it comes down to this, when you say that, oh, this is like the trick of the universe, and this is like on universe, and this is how just universe works. For instance, when two people meet who actually haven't met in years, for example,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and then you literally say that, like, how small the planet is or how small our world is, and then you just say that, yeah, this is tricky, this is the tricky universe, that we finally met, and things like that. So yeah, it's crazy to think about this, I believe so.
Yeah, I can definitely agree, because I think that there is a human nature in curiosity. Like, that's a very human thing. And we want to understand more and more, and we want to discover more and more. uh and what is interesting about astronomy and astrophysics is that, actually, because of the fact that we start to discover literally everything on Earth. I'm not saying we already did, because we haven't, but we are getting there. We are very fastly getting to discover everything on Earth. Now, humans tend to be more and more interested in what is next, what is above Earth, which can be, if you just think about other planets like Mars, or it can be another galaxy even, or whatever. And we start to be more and more interested, because we want to discover, we want to understand more, and now it seems like the Earth given us all the answers we were asking. Um, and so now we have these new questions. We have, you've just mentioned, if like, are there out there anyone else with an actual conscious knowledge and conscious intelligence, and if yes, then where are they, or if not, why are we the only? These are both very philosophical and very astrophysical, yeah, questions. And in everyday life, of course, we tend to uh we tend to draw we tend to just draw our attention away from these things, I think, because of the enormous possibilities and an enormous unknown there is out there. um and it causes this sort of already mentioned existential crisis, which is which can be very bad, though. And so it's so interesting how this topic is so polarizing, and at the same time there are a lot of people who literally hate talking about it because of existential crisis, and a lot of people just adore talking about it because of curiosity. This is, I think, amazing. And and the fact that so I think a lot of us can experience both at the same time is just sort of puts everything else in another perspective, as we already mentioned. But even more importantly, it just broadens your horizon, because this is a whole nother ass level of topic. And if you start to just scratch the surfaces of astrophysics and these philosophical questions, I think you can very much boil them down into your everyday life, which is just fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, I can. Yeah, I totally can agree with this. Unfortunately, I can't add anything to this statement and to this, like, to your thoughts, because you've covered everything that I just wanted to say about this, like, this curiosity of humanity and things like that. This is how ridiculously crazy that we can experience both that you mentioned. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And honestly, honestly, this is this makes me think a lot about the possibilities of humanity, and I think this can be another interesting topic. But before that, I think we can answer question which we have.
Yeah, of course. Would you read it, please?
Oh yeah, of course. So the question is about if they heard about Gyula David. He's a famous Hungarian physicist who has very interesting presentations on Europe about these things we're talking about right now as well. Um, Personally, I don't know him, so I don't know if
Yeah,
you.
me neither. Me neither, unfortunately. As a matter of fact, I'm not that into um, uh, like this physics thing. Like, I don't consider myself like a future to be physician and things like that. Um, but I'm really interested in like the ideas about like this existential crisis. And, how small are we compared to our universe, and what our universe actually have for us. Interesting, I believe so.
Yeah, and by the way, I think after the podcast, I will most probably check him out. Um, so yeah, thank you so much for the recommendation. Uh, and then I think this could be a good path to go on, because you mentioned how, totally understandably, you are not really into physics, which is like, of course, we have different interests, and that's cool. Uh, but my real question is, even though you're not interested, when we talk about physics and when you learn something new about physics, do you experience that you've got an extra knowledge in your everyday life as well? Because personally, I do it so many times that when I understand the physical phenomena, or I get to know a new thing about astronomy or whatever, I feel like I even can draw at least just a bit of wisdom into my everyday life, and to just make it a little bit clearer. I mean things like, um, things like, I understand the difference between our planets and the size of our sun. So I draw this size difference. I get it, because it's like, I don't know, the sun is 1 million times of the Earth, so way bigger. And so when I first understood this this thing, and when I first started to think about it, uh, I could get that in my everyday life. Now everything, the size of everything, got into a whole ass new perspective. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, of course. So hear me out. So to all my peers and lads that actually don't really into, like, they are not really into like physics and astronomy and things like that, even though you are not that into it, you definitely should do some research, and you definitely should learn about physics and learn about astronomy and learn about every single thing that surrounds you, because it's important to know what we are facing right now. Because when it comes down to physics and astronomy, we actually look into our future. We actually try to observe our future, and especially when it comes down to astronomy. So even though I'm not interested in like just as you are, that doesn't mean that I don't get like shocked every single time that there's like an discovery which freaks me out. For instance, that we just found like the 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 quasar, which is the furthest from the Earth, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
if I'm
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so it's crazy that it is like, how far is it? Like 30.3 or 6 billion light years away, maybe.
Yeah, it's around that. It has like so there is not obviously not an exact number. It's like approximately, so it's between 13 billion to 13.6 billion and somewhere that.
Yeah, and this is, and just to go back to a little bit to my thoughts, and just to try to emphasize myself about how like valuable and important and practical knowledge is, like everything that is connected, that can be connected to like physics and astronomy and these sciences, and of course all the sciences. So chemistry is important as well, biology as well is really important, um, because these subjects and these like areas of life can provide you practical knowledge that is important to know about. I believe so. It's valuable knowledge. It's like when you have the ability to just to take an example, history. History for me, it's like, it's your decision, your thoughts. But for me, history only means something when I can actually um, like put the previous happenings in history, like wars in the Middle Ages, or like wars like back before the Industrial Revolution, or other like uprisings and things like that. The only way that when it makes sense for me is when I can actually put this perspective into our life, today's life, like how we actually come a long way, and how can we learn from our historical happenings. And this is the only way that history makes sense to me. However, all the sciences, all like chemistry, physics, I've mentioned everything, these really gives you a like not just facts about the short-term future, but about the long-term future as well. Definitely. Without physics, without biology, without chemistry, and all of the sciences, we would be nowhere. Our our technology would be nowhere. So this is why I believe it's really important to understand, or at least just to have some curiosity, just a tiny little bit curiosity about these sciences, because it's important, it's valuable, it's real practical knowledge. Not
Yeah,
like, yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
It's like just an example. So if you've got a basic knowledge of biology and chemistry, in today's world, how much easier is that you have this knowledge, and now when you research coronavirus, which we tend to do many times these days, then you actually got just the basic knowledge to understand what you read, just the basic knowledge to understand, to not be tricked by what you read. And and so it's the same with all the sciences. Of course, it's pretty understandable if somebody finds a certain topic like this even boring, but the fact is that I think it is still important to just have the basic knowledge. of it in order to get forward in life, and also do not get confused in life. Moreover, I think this is just because of how the science is about life. Like literally, if you think about it, all these things put together, life, at some point you will meet with them. You will meet with the basic terms, with the basic knowledges of it, and so that's why it is a great thing to learn about them. Just of course a tiny little bit, as Patrick was also saying, and yeah. Also, I think even if you don't like something, it is so cool to be open to it, or just to just sometimes hear it out. And what I mean, I have hated things in my life too. For example, I'm pretty. I'm not a really good friend with literature. And yeah, there are just few things which I like on it, but I always try to have just a little bit of curiosity. I always just try to have, I may find something interesting, and yeah, of course, this not happens much, but I can, and this is like true for all the subjects, because there are interesting things and useful things in all of the knowledge of the world. And yeah, to just a little bit track back, I think there's a very interesting view from Elon Musk. I don't know if you have heard about it or not, but he said that he believes that if you want to understand anything in life, you've got to take physics. You've got to take physics for understanding anything, because of how everything is based on physics. Because if you think about it, even the smallest particle is explained by physics. And what really interesting here is that to see that Elon Musk says he always been on this path. So like since his teenage, he was in this path, and it could be seen as he became a physicist and he wanted to learn physics. He's a physicist engineer, if I'm not mistaken. And
yeah, we can say that.
Yeah, and now you think about it, he has this perspective, and now he's one of the most successful person on the whole ass earth. Like, that's something. That shows something. That
yeah, of course, but not just like when it comes down to Elon Musk.
Yeah, of course, this was just an example.
Yeah. There's a shit ton of things that helped him towards his goals to become like the president. Yeah, so
of course
he really did other things as well.
Of course, yeah.
Things like that. Yeah. So in order to get there, in order to gain enough power, first of all, he actually didn't really care about physics. I believe, when it comes down to Elon Musk is a great example of how to solve problems and not just like yawning about your problems. For instance, there was the word back in the early 2000s. Yeah, everyone was crazy about, and everyone was like sad, and everyone was like annoyed by the fact that there's not virtual money available. And then he solved it with PayPal. Everyone was yawning back in the late 2010s that like we should build electric cars, but we don't have enough resources. We are not able to do this. He solved it as well. Everyone is yawning about like our rockets are just can be just like you used once. He's on the path of solving that. Everyone is yawning about right now that we are too like um we are like what's the right for what's the right word for this? We are too sensitive to art like other outer catastrophes like um, meteorites, or we actually live on an Earth where there are volcanoes, there are earthquakes, there are catastrophes, there are disasters out there, and we are too we're too sensitive to these, and we need to do something. He's planning to go to Mars, so I believe his his title should be like the man who solved it all, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just
And of course, it's really important that he believes in physics, because without that, he wouldn't have been able to build rockets. He wouldn't have been able to see these problems, because um, while learning physics and while trying to understand physics, you need a whole another complex mindset.
yeah, yes, indeed.
You
Uh,
need to see the whole process of everything. It is logical. You need to use your brain in order to understand. It's not about memorizing numbers like in history. It's not about memorizing names and happenings like in literature. It's not about memorizing laws, like when it comes down to uh, poems. It's all about logics. It's all about numbers. It's all about how you use your brain. It's all about what you see. How complicated can you take this? So this is why I believe it's a strong statement, and it's really strong to say that, and it's really truthful to say that physics is important, most valuable stuff in our lives. Without that, I have to repeatedly mention myself that without that we would be nowhere.
yeah, I think what is really uh interesting is that, of course, like, no such thing, no such knowledge is more or less valuable than the other one. Like, knowledge is valuable. Uh, what is, I think, the key differentiator with physics and with these stuffs is what also you were explaining is solving, because these things are about solving problems. Physics is about solving a question always. Like, there's always an upcoming question which you want to solve, which you want to answer. Uh, and why I think, in my opinion at least, why physics and all these sciences gets us so much further is thanks to that they want to solve problems. Um, Indeed. Uh, and when at the beginning, or around the beginning, I was explaining how I believe that you can actually get these huge things into your everyday life. This is something as well. And of course, it does not have to be physics or anything, but learning the fact that you have to solve and you have to answer your questions is very, very important, and one of the key factors in life. And when you get these huge things that I don't know, as you were just explaining, if we stick with Elon Musk, then solving the problem of electric cars or solving the problem of rockets, this is a huge lesson that you shouldn't complain. You should get and solve it. Of course, in most of the scenarios, because there are certain life circumstances when this is not the case. But any other way, when you've got possibility, you've got to solve it. And and it is I think true for the everyday stuff, and it is true for the enormous physics, for the enormous universe, and this is true for your everyday tiny little things as well.
Yeah, I totally can agree with this. Of course, you just need to get excited about all these things.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and
We have a question, by the way.
yeah.
So, would you like to add something else to your thoughts,
No,
or
I'm
shall
fine.
we answer the question?
We can
Try
answer.
to. So, would you read it for me, please? Because I don't have this in front of me right
Oh,
now.
of course. Um, do you know well-educated people who are in spite of that belief, in conspiracy theories like flat Earth, etc.
It's quite hard to answer this question, because I believe there should be some thoughts behind this. They really put in the work to sort every single things out in order to make misbeliefs, and they try to actually understand every single detail about the earth in order to put this into another perspective and try to just like write over every single detail that we know right now, that it's a sphere, it rotates on its axis. They believe it's, I don't know what are their beliefs actually. So, but I'm into this as well. It's really interesting. There are people out there who really believe that the earth is flat. Are you one of them, by the way? I know it's it's a funny question to ask, but I just want to make sure that one of my best friends, actually my best friend, is in the flat earther, because if you are, then please shut this podcast down and I'ma head out.
Yeah, I can. I can ensure you that I don't believe in flat Earth. And yeah, so the interesting thing is that I personally, I think I don't know people who believe in it, but I've heard people who are well educated and believe in it, and the fact is that this is thanks to the fact that conspiracy theories are built up in a way to be easily understandable for everyone.
Yeah.
And they've got reasons which can everyone understand, and only those who are actually experts of the topics can say that, hey, you say that, but you don't have a reason. And so, of course, a lot of people know that they've got to have good sources, and just the fact that NASA shows a picture about the sphere Earth, then you believe the Earth is sphere because it's a sure source. But when I don't know, when Blink.com says to you that the Earth is flat, then you need skepticism. And a lot of people are just not skeptic because it's easy to believe. It's hard to question.
Of course, yeah. This is the point. This is the tip. This is the tip of like the mountain that you've just said, that it's easy to believe. And of course, you know what's easier to believe? More craziness, more like ridiculous ideas, because the more ridiculous something is, the more tempting to believe in it is, because conspiracy theories are actually built on those temptations that, oh shit, there's other ideas, and it seems to be more exciting, it seems to be crazier, it seems to be more tempting for me, so
Yeah.
why shouldn't I check this out? And then you go to websites, go to social media, learn some ridiculous things about this certain like conspiracy theory and stuff like that. And then you finally find yourself in a pit, because now when you're there, you don't know what to believe. And what's easier to believe? The more exciting stuff. And of course, I believe one of the things that those people who are just like ridiculously like harmed by people. I mean, like those ones who are just like who aren't like accepted by the society, by their surroundings, by their friends. They believe that they actually can't join a community, a company. They don't
Yes.
feel accepted. They because they are different, and then they form something else. Then the specific person tries to find those people who they can fuck with, and then it comes down to a strong community. And actually flat earthers are ridiculously and incredibly strong.
Yeah.
They believe that they hold the truth. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
and
And
what's even more crazy is if you not type in that if like you search to if the Earth is flat, you will find more sources that say the Earth is flat than you find sources that say the Earth is sphere, because it's so basic. It's so basic that the Earth is sphere that you won't find it. You won't find it on sites because it's not mentionable. But because of the fact that how crazy is the theory that the Earth is flat, you will find it. You will catch it because it's a crazy theory. It's a good title. It's clickable.
yeah, of course, because you just overwritten the existing truth, what
Yeah,
is believed to be true, and controversy is quite good. It's quite a viral thing to be controversial.
indeed. Uh,
And speaking of that, just like to, I
yeah,
really try to slip this in, because I've watched just one simple documentary about the flat Earth and how this society actually works, operates on daily basis, and how do they try to make people believe their own thoughts and their own vision about this. Speaking about controversy, yeah, controversial things. Logan Paul, and this is funny. This is funny to mention because he's the only one that I've watched connected to this topic, contributed to this, because he made a documentary, Flat Earth to the Edge and Back, and it's stated to be an official movie. It's on YouTube, and it's quite funny that he actually tricks every single person of this community. He goes to presentations. He and because back in those days he was like quite a big thing on the internet, and he posted every single time that he believes that the Earth is flat, and he made another controversial thing again, and this is how he actually, of course, gained views as well. But it's quite interesting to see, to have a look behind the scenes of this craziness, like flat earthers. So I really recommend to watch this, even though you hate Logan Paul. Back in those days when I saw this, I hated him. I was furious that he is existing, and even though it was quite funny to watch, and this is when I firstly had something to like believe that this guy isn't a dumb fuck at all. He knows what he's doing, and of course he knows what he's doing. But it's quite interesting. I really recommend this to watch, because not because of Logan Paul. Who cares about that shit? Who cares about that guy? No one else. No one. Like No one cares about that. But he really give you the perspective, like, of behind the scenes, of presentations, of how they try to encourage you to believe their like ideas and things like that. It's crazy.
Yes, in fact, uh, and so it's it's somewhere like how you so conspiracy theories work like how you're influenced throughout propaganda as well. If you just think about it, you are influenced with political propaganda all the time, and because these plays on your feelings, and on your feelings close out reality, and and this is why it sometimes, even I think, can override your knowledge. And yeah, it's not good because you shouldn't, obviously. uh but but the fact is that it overrides it because of the amount you get it. And yep, there was a comment that it's almost like a religion, and somewhere can agree. It's
Of course,
it
it's
works like that.
strong.
Yeah, because it creates a strong community,
Yeah.
and it creates a common belief.
Yeah, of course. This is like these people are desperate to have a community to
Belong to.
to belong to. Yeah, exactly. And this is why it can be stated as a religion. It can be like yeah, as a religious
Yeah,
like community, because they really believe in this. And of course they are talking about the existence of God, and of course they try to slip in other controversies into their whole like beliefs, and it's crazy how it is built up. So I'm really interested in this, by the way. And yeah, I believe that we should have a video about this, or at least a podcast about this topic, specifically,
yeah, indeed.
because I believe it's really interesting that how people can be like blinded, and how people can be like influenced by just the temptation, you know.
I can definitely agree with that. Um, and yeah, this can be, I think, a really good transparency into um into so when you hear these enormous numbers with the discoveries of the universe, it's so freaking crazy to imagine. I think this is when we tend to question the certain discovery that somebody made, and even also it is working in scientists as well. Like they question each other very often, because while the fact that the Earth is sphere is just a truth, you cannot argue with it. When you are talking about that, if a certain celestial body is 13 billion light years away or 14 billion light years away, you you're not talking about the truth. You're talking about the gas. And what is crazy with these all of these estimations, that physicists try to estimate these, try to guess the exact number, and of course a lot of times they cannot. So just an example, uh I don't know, some decades ago, physicists believed that there is around 200 uh, star systems in the Milky Way, and now they believe that it's closer to 2,000 star systems in the Milky Way. So what is crazy with this topic is that it changes so fast, so rapidly, because nothing, like literally nothing, except some basic rules are fucked with these discoveries, and it's on a level that, for example, physicists found voids, which they just don't understand that how they're created. What I mean by that, how they can exist, because according to the laws of physics, voids shouldn't exist, and they do. And so the whole topic is like the contrary of how conspiracies work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can see what you're talking about, right? And of course, there's one more thing to add, because I just want to add.
Yeah.
I was just like thinking about this while you were talking. So, you know why I really like to get more info about, like, physics and sciences, because they have the balls to contradict themselves, you know. When there's something out there that they believe is the only truth, they don't give a shit about that. They move further and further. They question themselves every single time. Even Albert Einstein questioned himself about the theory of relativity, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I'm sure he questioned himself of that.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Actually, Albert Einstein stated that having a so-called lambda in his equations is his biggest mistake. So he even admitted one of his biggest mistakes, which he questioned. Like, first of all, he wrote it in, but then he questioned it. But what is even more crazy, that Albert Einstein's statement that it's wrong was also questioned, and finally it turned out to be true. So it's a shame. Albert Einstein wrote it in, then he questioned it, said it's wrong, and then another physicist came. He questioned that Albert Einstein stated it's wrong, and it was proven to be true.
So, like, his greatest mistake was that he thought he had a mistake.
Yes.
Or something like that. So yeah, it's crazy. That this is why I really want to be more curious about physics and about astronomy and things like that, because I've just mentioned everything. So they question themselves, and it's crazy, because in other parts of life, in other subjects, I don't see this desire to question yourself. Every single time when you discover something, your first thought isn't that, oh yeah, I've discovered this, then what? Nah, you go further, you question yourself again and again, repeatedly. It's crazy. This is why technology. This is why we grow. This is why technology develops over time, easily and fastly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Question yourself every single time.
Yeah, and this, what is crazy about this, I think, is that they question their own discoveries, but what's more, they know how to balance this out. Because now we're not talking about when you question yourself only in a negative way, or when you question yourself only in a positive way. You've got to question yourself both ways. You've got to question that you are wrong, and you've got to question that you are right. And you cannot go a way or another, because then you will fail. Then the discovery will never reveal itself. And it's like a thin line to be on, that you can simultaneously question the positive and the negative side. It's very mind blowing, and it was proven to be one of the most useful things in human history, as thanks to all the scientists throughout the era resulted today's pleasurable and appreciable technological level and advancement, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with this to 100%. So it's crazy. It's crazy that you need this balance to become a physician in the end. You need to have control over your thoughts, control over yourself.
Yeah. And
it's crazy.
Yeah, it is, and honestly, it really interests me so much what they do, because from my point of view, at least, it's like they are heroes, like the scientists. It's like they,
of course they are. Of course they are.
Do something. They get something which never existed, and they make it possible. Or
of course they are.
They get something which they didn't know exists, and then discover. And wow, like, mind blowing.
But like I would say that, like, not just scientists, not just physicians, not just doctors, not just lawyers, not just politicians, not just astronauts, not just like those people who have the privilege to become the greatest of the entire world ever. Not just those people are heroes, and I'm not sure that this will be like the right way of pronunciation of this word, but heroines, right? It sounds difficult to me to make the difference between the two, you know? Heroine, right?
Yeah.
Or so this is the equivalent of a hero, but when it's a she. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. So not just those people who are great are heroes and heroines. Every single people is needed to make progress in this world. There's a good statement. There's a good statement out there, and I know that this podcast is already just like in a pit, because unfortunately our thoughts and this conversation is not just all about how small are we in enormous, unfortunately, but I really want to say this as well.
Of course, go on.
So that was a celebrity, if I'm not mistaken, or a great person, but I don't know the exact name of this person, because this is not the punchline of the story, you know. So he goes into the institute of NASA. Then he walks through the corridors, and then he meets the janitor of NASA, one of the janitors, you know. He goes up to him and asks him, like, what are you doing here? Like, aren't you didn't your work time, your the schedule is over, you know? So why don't you go home? And the janitor stated that no, because he has the desire, he has the temptation, he has the dedication to serve those ones who will make history, because right now and right here he is part of our history. He is putting the first person on the moon with his job, and he was just a janitor. But this is like another this is only the question of your perspective, what you think about yourself.
Yeah, it's very very true, and like
And I
if
believe it's true. It's definitely
yeah,
true that
and if
without him, yeah, just go on with your thoughts, of
yeah,
course.
so I think if you give everything you've got, then you are a hero, and and no matter just how small are you in the whole picture, you gonna play your role in a way that you shaped, and it's very important. It's not a pre-existing role. It's a role that you made for yourself, and
Yeah,
and if you've got it, if you get out there and do it, then no matter how small that thing is compared to the whole ass universe, it's gonna matter, because even the biggest object, which is like enormous, still is made up of freaking quarks and leptons, which are the smallest things in the whole ass universe. And so, and I believe that how this is true for us, how this is true for the universe, that the biggest thing is made up of the smallest things, is true for us as well. Our smallest actions drove us further, and our smallest things that we can possibly do will get us to do a bigger and then a bigger and then a bigger thing, and then that what for example gives a community to do a bigger, and then a bigger community to do a bigger. So like it's like a wave of actions which starts at the smallest and always gets to the next square.
a ripple effect.
The ripple, yeah, exactly, the ripple effect. And
Yeah,
and I think if we want to get back to the topic itself, I as far you could see, I sort of tried, and
yeah, you did well, man. I just wanted to congratulate. Yeah,
yeah, thank you.
you did a good job.
And and so the fact is that no matter that how big existential crisis this can cause, because that's totally valid, this can cause an enormous existential crisis, and it can make you think that you are just a nothing in a whole universe. But then if you flip it, if you see that the cup is half full, then you will get the picture of what I was explaining, which
Yeah, definitely.
for me
Yeah.
is very uplifting.
Yeah, definitely. So you shouldn't consider that the cup is half empty. You should concentrate on the other part of the cup where it's full.
Yeah,
It's full of something. It's full of joy. It's full of dedication. It's full of hard work. It's full of yourself. It's full of you. What are you in this world? And
yeah.
you just gotta do it. So this is the only way. This is the only way to move on with your days. This is the only way to gain motivation. This is the only way to move further. To see yourself doing something worthwhile,
Exactly. And
It shouldn't mean the word. It shouldn't mean that you will solve great problems in the world. It should mean that you believe that you provide a better self of yours every single day after you wake up. This is
exactly.
this is what you gotta this is what you gotta do. This is what you gotta do.
And yeah, go on.
Yeah, move on please, because nothing. No, I don't really want to add anything else. So
Yeah, so what is I think really interesting uh is that how we are talking about all these things according to our life experience, and talk about the different how we were just explaining, to do something worthwhile, to have something to get up for, and stuff like that, and how all these things, how our life is actually balanced out of how the universe works. And what I mean is that if we see a pattern in the universe, as previously I was just saying, in case of every big is made up of smalls. If we see a pattern like this in the universe, then we see that in our life as well.
yeah, definitely.
And this is, I think, the real comparison of the small and the enormous, because you've got you understood the biggest thing in the universe, but you can draw it down into the smallest as well. It's gonna be true. If it's like if a law if a law is if a law exists in the universe, it does not it not only exists to make the universe a livable place, but it also exists to make them on to make every single being in it according to that rule. And now of course, now we're not talking about the rules which are bad. These are the rules which throws you forward.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. I can see what you're after. Yeah, it's true. I agree with this again. Yeah, it's important to consider yourself something, because then you will lose like the meaning. This is when existential crisis hits its head.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. I don't know
We
how much
should.
time.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I believe that.
We should close up. And yeah, I think there was a really good comment for that, because one of our viewers were saying how they are looking through a telescope, and it makes them realize how small we are compared to the whole universe, how we are dust. And honestly, especially after we put all these thoughts together, I found this fascinating.
Yes, definitely. But you should put this in another perspective.
Yeah,
You need to change the way of thinking, because you should concentrate on the fact that, oh, of course, we are just like a small dust in the universe. But what can I do in order to become something greater, something bigger, something more worthwhile, So it shouldn't be like a negative thought throughout your days. It should be something to gain motivation from, something to look forward to. That how can I improve myself every single day in order to leave this section where I'm just considered a small dust in the universe. And of course, it will change or it won't change, and most of the times it won't change. But will you feel better? Will you feel like more worthwhile? Of course, because you did what you had to do. You made goals, you finished your goals, you reached them. Nothing is there to think about, you know? Yeah, of course. It is amazing. It is amazing. Yeah.
Yes, it
And
is.
and it's really important to see it like in a motivational perspective, way of thinking. You need to set your mindset to it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Would you like to end this podcast this time? Because I have some right here in front of me. It's like a quote, you know.
Yeah,
Every single
I think
time.
that can.
This is actually a habit for us. We usually throw in some motivational quotes in order to
Yeah.
feel better, you know. Would you like to end this time, or would you like to add something else
No, no,
before I add this?
you
Are you
can.
sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Alright, so yeah. The other day I was just like laying in my bed, feeling a bit depressed, feeling like I'm just a small dust in the universe, you know. Then I just scrolled through my Instagram site, and I usually follow these motivational stuff on social media, and I saw this quote which really changed my mind, my mindset throughout that day, and not just like that day, because it was like more than 1.5 years ago, and I was devastated that time. Back in those days, I was devastated. It was, I believe, the first wave of the coronavirus. It was March. We went home. We were sent back to home right after I realized that this is gonna last forever. I felt depressed, and this is when this quote hit me, and I believe it can be connected like in a full sense of way, you know, to this topic as well. Then hear me out. So if you think that you are too small in the universe, if you think that you are too small to make a difference, make great things, achieve your goals, achieve your dreams, then just for one night, try sleeping with a mosquito. And this quote is actually from the Dalai Lama.
Oh,
Yeah, I believe he is goddamn right. He's goddamn right. If you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. You won't be able to. You won't be able to. And look how small he is. He's just like half like of your finger's tip. And he really knows you throughout the night. He makes a difference.
that's,
Yeah.
I think, the perfect ending. Like, I don't want to add anything else. That's the perfect ending. Thank you so much for your attention throughout the podcast. It was again really really cool, and we plan to make more and more podcasts because we enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and of course stay tuned for the video. Hopefully next week without problem we can post it. Fingers crossed. Then there is another there videos in production as well, so the content gonna come, and stay tuned for that. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this, then hit us a like and subscribe. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and share. Would be just incredible. Thank you so much for the attention. See ya.
See you guys. Thanks.